Welcome to our worship today. My name is David Wilkes and I'm a retired Methodist minister living in Beverley. Today is the third Sunday in Lent and our call to worship. The Israelite prophet Micah said, "What does the Lord require of you? Only to act justly, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with your God. God of mercy and source of justice, pour on your people such love and compassion that we cannot remain silent. We cannot tolerate injustice and poverty. As your grace fills our hearts, so may we be stirred into action to demonstrate your love for all the world and for all creatures that live and move on this earth." Let us sing our first hymn, "All My Hope on God is Founded," Singing the Faith, 455.
All my hope on God is founded. He doth still my trust renew. Me through change and chance he guideth, only good and only true. God unknown, he alone calls my heart to be his own. Human pride and earthly glory, sword and crown betray our trust. What with care and toil we fashion, tower and temple fall to dust. But God's power, hour by hour, is my temple and my tower. God's great goodness endureth, deep his wisdom passing thought. Splendor, light, and life attend him, beauty springeth out of naught. Evermore from his store newborn world rise and adore. Daily doth the Almighty Giver bounteous gifts on us bestow. His desire our soul delighteth, pleasure leads us where we go. Love doth stand at his hand, joy doth wait on his command. Still from earth to God eternal, sacrifice of praise be done. High above all praises praising, for the gift of Christ his Son. Christ doth call one and all, ye who follow shall not fall.
Let us pray. A prayer of confession. Forgive us, Lord, for our apathy, for our lack of courage to speak out. Forgive us when we walk past and don't offer help. Forgive us when we get it wrong. We confess that we are afraid. We don't want to overcome our hidden doubts and prejudices in order to be alongside those who are different from ourselves. We ask that you would lead us into action. Give us strength to be a voice crying for justice and peace. Help us to step into another person's shoes. Or if they have no shoes, then not to be afraid to take off our own. Peel off our preconceptions and assumptions. Uncurl and spread out our toes and tread in their footprints. May we be a liberating presence and offer love, compassion, and whatever is needed to act justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with our God. Amen. Collect of the Day. Almighty God, whose most dear Son went not up to joy, but first he suffered pain, and entered not into glory before he was crucified, mercifully grant that we, walking in the way of the cross, may find it none other than the way of life and peace, through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen. And we say together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Our psalm for today is Psalm 19. Would you please respond with the words in dark type?
Our first reading is from Psalm 19, as found in Singing the Faith. Please join in the words in bold type. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. One day pours out its song to another, and one night unfolds knowledge to another. They have neither speech nor language, and their voices are not heard. Yet their sound has gone out into all lands, and their words to the ends of the world. In them has he set a tabernacle for the sun, that comes forth as a bridegroom out of his chamber, and rejoices as a champion to run his course. It goes forth from the end of the heavens, and runs to the very end again, and there is nothing hidden from its heat. The law of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul. The testimony of the Lord is sure, and gives wisdom to the simple. The statutes of the Lord are right, and rejoice the heart. The commandment of the Lord is pure, and gives light to the eyes. The fear of the Lord is clean, and endures forever. The judgments of the Lord are true and righteous altogether. More to be desired are they than gold, more than much fine gold. Sweeter also than honey dripping from the honeycomb. By them also is your servant taught, and in keeping them there is great reward. Who can tell how often they offend? O cleanse me from my secret faults. Keep your servant also from presumptuous sins, lest they get dominion over me. So shall I be undefiled and innocent of great offence. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, my strength and my Redeemer. Amen.
The Gospel reading is taken from St. John chapter 2, reading from verses 13 to 22. Jesus cleanses the temple.
The Gospel reading is from John's Gospel, chapter 2, verses 13 to 22. Jesus cleanses the temple. The Passover of the Jews was near, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. In the temple he found people selling cattle, sheep and doves, and the money changers seated at their tables. Making a whip of cords, he drove all of them out of the temple, both sheep and the cattle. He also poured out the coins of the money changers and overturned their tables. He told those who were selling the doves, "Take these things out of here. Stop making my Father's house a marketplace." His disciples remembered that it was written, "Zeal for your house will consume me." The Jews then said to him, "What sign can you show us for doing this?" Jesus answered them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." The Jews then said, "This temple has been under construction for 46 years, and will you raise it up in 3 days?" But he was speaking of the temple of his body. After he was raised from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this, and they believed the scripture and the word that Jesus had spoken. Amen. Thanks be to God for his word.
Let us pray. May the words of my mouth, the meditations and the thoughts of all our hearts be acceptable to you, O Lord our God, our rock and our Redeemer. Amen. One man is talking to another man. "My wife and I," he exclaims, "got angry last night and we had a fight." His friend asked him, "How did it end up?" "Why, she came crawling back to me on hands and knees." "What did she say?" "She said, 'Come out from under that bed, you coward.'" Quite a different anger from the anger Jesus displayed in today's gospel. What is the difference? One is to observe that an angry Jesus is not our customary image of him. This image doesn't sit well with the traditional image of a meek and smiling Jesus. Here we have a rather strong, angry and violent Jesus who makes a whip and drives animals and people out of the temple grounds. It seems to be so out of character with what we think we know of Jesus from the rest of the Gospels that we might be tempted to dismiss it. It would be a mistake to dismiss it. It shows us that there was another side to his character. Of course, Jesus was gentle. But that doesn't mean he was weak. When the occasion demanded it, he could be very strong and assertive. Secondly, we may miss this when we read this familiar story, is that in fact the temple transactions were perfectly legal. Since the Jews were in occupied territory, they had to use the money of the occupiers, the Roman coin, which carried Caesar's image on it. Such a blasphemous image would violate the Mosaic law, and so when they went to the temple, their preserve and territory, they had to exchange the hated coin with its image on it for their own shekel. They also had to buy ritualistically clean animals for the sacrifices. So it was a perfectly legal temple arrangement. What we might miss is that this arrangement was a monopoly that made a good profit for the temple and the dealers themselves. This legal arrangement exploited the poor. It was what today we call structural injustice. That is, the injustice, though legal, is built into its very structure. In Mark's version of this event, Jesus uses the words of the prophet Jeremiah. Has this house, the temple, which is called by my name, become a den of robbers in your sight? In Jeremiah, the meaning is apparent. It was a den of robbers precisely because it had become the centre of an oppressive system that did not practice justice, but exploited the most vulnerable in their society. In the same way, it was this that made Jesus angry, this form of exploitation and oppression of the poor. His anger was directed at the temple itself, organised religion. He was attacking religion, worship without substance, worship without pity, works without mercy. The other thing we ought to notice was that Jesus was angry that others were not angry at this daily and commonplace injustice. Had no one else noticed? Was no one scandalised? Was no one saddened? The anger of Jesus is not restricted to his time on earth, but I would suggest rings out today in our world. We must ask ourselves, is Jesus angry with our worship that leaves us unchanged and our world unchanged? Perhaps a Jesus who asks, in effect, why we're not angry at certain things. He asks why we are not angry at certain things. We may have been taught that all anger is sinful and wrong. But in itself, anger is just a feeling, and as such is neither good nor morally bad. It's true that anger is a dangerous thing and can result in us saying and doing things we later regret. But anger can also be a good thing. It can spur us to put right something which is blatantly wrong. There are times when we ought to be angry. An unjust situation should make us angry. Anger can be an expression of love. We have to look at the things which make us angry. It is said that you can measure the size of a person's soul by the size of the things which make him or her angry. Most of our anger is motivated by self-interest, and we can get angry about petty things. A man lived on the outskirts of a village. About 30 feet from his house, a large lime tree grew. The tree was something of a village landmark. However, it was getting old. It was clearly only a matter of time before it came crashing down. And every time there was a storm, the man feared for his house and his life. One day, unable to bear the strain any longer, he cut the tree down. He felt sure the villagers would understand, but he was wrong. "Shame on you for cutting the tree down," said one. "You've deprived the village of part of its heritage," said another. It's amazing how worked up people can get when their own interests are threatened, however superficially. But how few get worked up when it's their neighbour's interests that are threatened. What riles us? What deep down makes us angry? What doesn't, but perhaps should? Does poverty make us angry? The unequal spread of wealth? Does homelessness, exploitation of the poor, discrimination, racism, polluting the planet? What should we be angry about in the name of the Lord? Looking hopefully towards a time when we will all be able to be together again, what will stir us to anger as a church? Listen to the words of a German theologian who, despite his sufferings in World War II, remained a prophet of hope. Jürgen Moltmann's reply to Christians who kept anxiously asking, "Whatever is going to happen to the church?" was simply, "Forget the church. Think about the kingdom of God. Seek its justice and its righteousness, and then the living church will be added to you, simply of itself." Amen. Let us keep a moment of silence. Let us pray. Prayers for others. The response to each prayer is, God of mercy and love, let us serve you in our world. God of mercy and love, let us serve you in our world. We pray for desert people who live in a dry, parched land, who lack water, who travel constantly so they might live. Give them living water. Let the deserts bloom into flower. We pray that those who work on climate change may find solutions so that the erosion of soil may be halted or reversed. We pray that water and other vital supplies may not be used as a weapon of war in countries where resources are scarce. Our response: God of mercy and love, let us serve you in our world. We pray for countries where justice seems far away, where human rights are ignored. Let us remind those in power that prisoners are not forgotten. We pray that the dignity of life is respected, and remember those who have lost that dignity through age or infirmity or neglect. We pray for situations where the sex of a baby may lead to abandonment, where women are not offered the same opportunities, or actively demeaned or mutilated. May we act to challenge injustice and seek to affirm your love for all humankind. Our response: God of mercy and love, let us serve you in our world. We pray for those who have no peace, for those who are troubled and torn apart by lack of self-esteem, for those who torment and victimize the vulnerable. We pray for men and women affected by violence in the home and those who live by violence. We pray for those who are trafficked and for those who organize and profit from selling other humans. May they learn of your love and somehow come to newness of life, even in the midst of despair. Our response: God of mercy and love, let us serve you in our world. Loving God, let us not stand aside and tolerate lack of basic human resources. dehumanizing practices, or the use of violence to disempower your people. Give us strength to act and challenge hatred, and instead bring your justice and mercy. In your name we humbly ask that we may be a channel for your peace and love in our world. Amen. Let us now pray to the Lord for our own special needs, and we keep silence. Amen. Now let us sing our second hymn, which is from Singing of Faith, 713, Show Me How to Stand for Justice.
Show me how to stand for justice, how to work for what is right, how to challenge false assumptions, how to walk within the light. May I learn to share more freely in a world so full of greed, showing your immense compassion by the life I choose to lead. Teach my heart to treasure mercy, whether given or received, for my need has not diminished since the day I first believed. Let me seek no satisfaction boasting of what I have done, but rejoice that I am pardoned and accepted by your Son. Gladly I embrace a lifestyle modeled on your living word, in humility submitting to the truth which I have heard. Make me conscious of your presence every day in all I do. By your Spirit's gracious prompting, may I learn to walk with you. Make me conscious of your presence every day in all I do. By your Spirit's gracious prompting, may I learn to walk with you.
The blessing. Be bold to share in the life of Christ and show his love. And the blessing of God Almighty, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit be among you and remain with you always. Amen.